Hello there everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Unlimited video. Big video today. I've got some previews to show you all, which obviously I'm extremely excited about. Just wanted to say thank you very much to FFG for allowing me to share these cards with you. I've got 3 cool previews, 2 uncommons and a legendary, which means of course 3 bangers. And before you see the cards and while I have you captive, please like and subscribe because that would be a cool thing to do. Let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll go over to the screen. I got some card previews for you all. Let's jump into it. So, we begin with Charged with Treason. Charged with Treason is a 4-cost event. It is single red and law traded. You may disclose aggression, or red, which means reveal cards from your hand with these aspect icons among them. And if you do, deal 5 damage to a unit. Okay, so a couple of things to sort of outline before we move forward. I'm going to quickly talk about disclose. There are 2 things we need to sort of think about with disclose. The first is how easy is disclose actually going to be to get off, and that's going to, I think, really depend on the deck and the sort of disclose costs you're trying to include there. So, for example, with this condition, double red, probably not that hard. You know, you can just show 2 single red cards. Obviously, if you're playing double red, it's going to be super easy, but there are no real viable double red. I guess maybe Kylo, but you're not playing this in Kylo. So I think this will be relatively easy to get off, but that's just going to be a general thing we are going to have to think about. In the Premier format, I think it's relatively easy to get off. Now, of course, we then have to think about the limited formats, and I think this is going to be more difficult to get off in limited. Probably not too hard, but I still think it will be more challenging. Just again, you have a limited card pool, and so you need to pull a critical mass of these aggression cards, and so it's kind of something you can't really splash. And I'll sort of loop onto why you might want to, although I don't think you will be able to, but that's just a consideration. The second thing to think about with disclose is how significant is it that you are revealing cards from your hand. Now, you're revealing at least 1, probably 2. How significant a downside is this? We're not really going to know until we actually test these things out, and my feeling is it probably isn't that significant because we draw 2 cards a turn in this game and we resource one of them, and you know, especially at high levels of play, your opponent's probably not going to be overly surprised by anything you show them, and certainly you can make intelligent decisions in what you show them. You can keep showing them the same cards if you have multiple you know, disclose costs, so you know, there's ways where it certainly can be mitigated, like how significant that is. And even if it's not mitigated, I just don't think it's that significant, unless it is basically a secret like blowout card that you really want your opponent to play into. It's probably not that big a deal. I think it's probably a bigger deal in limited when you kind of don't really know what your opponent might have, because the card pool is really wide and you only have a certain number of things. But yeah, I think in Premier, this is probably not, the revealing cards is probably not that significant, though obviously it could be. It always has the potential to be, and you know, we're under no illusions here. It would obviously be better to not have to reveal anything than to have to reveal something. But okay, so that sort of little diatribe aside, let's now actually talk about the card. So we pay 4, we deal 5 damage to a unit. How good is that? Well, we have 2 obvious comparisons here. The first is Open Fire. This is a 3-cost event that says deal 4 damage to a unit. And then we have Takedown is another comparison, which is a 4-cost event that says defeat a unit with 5 or less remaining HP. So I think these are pretty obvious comparisons. And I think Charged with Treason can kind of play with the big boys here. You know, Open Fire has seen a bunch of play. And I think Charged with Treason pretty easily is better. Now, better in the sense of it is more powerful, right? Not in the sense of it fits that point in the cost curve, and that's obviously going to be something where we do a lot of red decks. We do just kind of need 3 cost removal, and this is kind of the best thing we've got, and that's fine. I'm not saying this is like, you know, it's hardly a strict like replacement. Obviously, if it costed 3, it would be, but I think more what I'm saying is Charged with Treason is a very versatile card, because if you look at Takedown, one of the weaknesses of Takedown is the fact that it says defeat. That's also its greatest strength, right? Like, it will just bosh, unit's gone, right? But one of the issues is if we think about things like a Chewbacca piloted unit, that is something that can't be takedown. If we think about something like, Mercantile is not a great example but mainly takedown, right? Like mainly that Chewbacca, or, you know, those other sorts of effects where they just can't be defeated. Takedown is useless into those, whereas Charged with Treason is not. Additionally, Charged with Treason can get there when you have like ping effects, for example. If you had like, for example, like Padme leader, this will deal 6 damage, and that is incredibly good, right? So I think this is sort of the thing where, depending on the way the meta shapes up, Charged with Treason can be better than Takedown. It could also be worse. I think the fact that we're talking about the card in sort of the same breath, though, as Takedown, to me is enough. I say we, me. The fact that I'm talking about it in the same breath as Takedown, to me, that's enough of a reason to say, like, yeah, this is pretty good. So, Premier, I'm giving this a thumbs up. I think this is a very solid card. Thinking about Limited, I think this is insane. I think this is completely crazy and Limited. If you are playing Aggression in your Limited pool, I will be playing as many copies of this as I possibly can. Removal is so hard to come by. On-rate efficient removal that is like basically Premier playable. Yes, I will take it. Thank you. So yeah, overall, super, super high on Charged with Treason. On to our next card reveal. We've got Charged with Espionage, so a sort of theme here. We've got a little cycle. As of the time I'm recording this, we kind of had our first big dump of card reveals a couple days ago on the FFG stream. So we saw Charged with Murder, I think it was, which was the Vigilance version of this. So there's a cycle, right? So be interested to see. I haven't seen what the green one is yet, but I'll be interested. Anyway, so Charged with Espionage, you may disclose, so there's 2 costs, Cunning. You may disclose Cunning. If you do, look at an opponent's hand and discard a unit from it. Okay, so this is a bit of a harder one to evaluate, in my opinion. It's cheaper, and we have some really good comparisons, right? So it's single Cunning, so we can play this across the board. And I think a great comparison is Tip the Scale, which is look at an opponent's hand, discard a non-unit from it, right? So everything else. So everything that Charged with Espionage doesn't hit. Now, a couple things. I don't have to disclose anything with Tip the Scale. I'm not having to give up any information. I'm not having to have a minimum hand size, right? That's another thing. If you just don't have a critical mass of cards in your hand, you can't play this card and get an effect out of it, right? Although I suppose you can action it a little bit. Anyway, besides the point. The question then is, how much better or worse is it to remove units versus removing non-units? In my view, I think removing units is better. Generally speaking, those are the more threatening things. Not always. Obviously, against some decks, I really want to hit that Super Laser Blast, or I really want to hit that, I've got to hit the... I can't think of any good examples right now, but mainly Super Laser Blast. But you know what I mean? Like, I've got to hit the Entrenched, that's going to screw me up this turn, right? Whereas... most of the time, though, I think, I want to hit that Avenger. I want to hit that Ruthless Raider. I want to hit that, I don't really want you playing your Devastator, like those sorts of things is, I think, more generally, like the Vaders and the, by and large, I think hitting a unit is pretty good. The question is it good enough? And I think, then we look at Spark of Rebellion, and Spark is just such a good card because it's look and rip anything. And, okay, it's heroic, right? I don't know that I'm going to be okay paying 2 to not be able to just rip anything. I think if this card costed 1, I'd be really interested because it's like, that's so cheap at that point. I'm like, that's really compelling. But I don't know. Because even like in villain control decks, like I'm totally fine paying 4 to just rip a key thing out of my opponent's hand, or just villain aggro decks, whatever. I'm happy paying 4 to rip the one answer that I'm scared, like take initiative, like on 7 resources, I do my swings, my opponent's tapped out or whatever, and I go, cool, claim. Next turn, Spark first action, rip that Super Laser Blast out your hand, GG, right? Like, I'm totally fine doing that. I can't do that with Charged in Espionage, right? I have to play Tip the Scale, but Tip the Scale's really bad most of the time. I don't have that versatility. So, I think that's kind of the toss-up here. So Premier, I'm going to say probably not going to see play, but I think a lot more likely to see play than Tip the Scale, which has seen 0 play. So, it's a low bar, I suppose. Now, thinking about Limited, I think this is better in Limited because Limited is Star Wars Unlimited is a game won by units, and that is even more true in Limited. So, the ability to just snipe the biggest bomb your opponent has in their hand, that's kind of the most efficient form of removal, if you think about it, right? You don't even really have to think about it that hard. That's kind of the logic with why we play discard anyway. So, in Limited environment, where there's even less removal, the fact that you can go with this card and go, I'm just going to get rid of that, I'm trying to think of any bombs in the set, but whatever the biggest thing in the set is, right? Like, oh, you have that? No, you don't. It's gone. And that was the only way, like, your opponent could win the game, for example. So I think this card is an absolute beast in Limited, provided you have the card pool to enable it. And I think that's sort of really what it comes down to, because this card is so bad, like Charge with Treason is, if you don't have that minimum, critical mass of aspects to reveal. So that's my rating. I think this is a limited bomb. I think it's a premier. But these are both cards that you're going to be very, very happy to see in your limited pool. I'm really excited to play set 6 limited. Okay, and here we come to. I gotta pull out my boy. As you all know, I'm the world's biggest Kylo fan, and no one can take that accolade from me. So when I asked FFG, can I get a Kylo card please? And they gave me one, I was very happy. Let's talk about Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle. So this is a 4-cost blue-black space unit. It is first order vehicle and transport traded. I'm not going to talk about the synergies there, but there are a few. Think of things like Boba Fett Pilot, things like Phasma Leader, but park them. This is a 3/5 in space. Pause. We play 3/5s for 4 on the ground. So, okay, if this has a relevant ability, and even if it doesn't, honestly, a 4/3/5 in space might be good enough on its own. So, kind of park that for a moment. Each friendly ground unit with Sentinel gains +0/+2. Now that's very interesting. Now, 4-cost in non-force decks that play blue-black has historically been a pretty weak point in the curve. You have, like, in particular in space, right? We've kind of just had Chilton, or like the Advanced ATT, I think it was called, the 3/5/4 on the ground, that has Sentinel. And this is sort of what we were making do with, right? But now we are able to have some space presence, and we're able to buff our Sentinels on the ground. This could be very, very nice. I'm thinking also against decks like Sabine, you make your Sentinels really big. Okay, let's have a look at some synergies here, right? Gamorrean Retainer. So this is a 3/2, but there's a really powerful curve here where you go turn 1 Gamorrean Retainer, turn 2 Hu Yang. Gamorrean Retainer is now a 5/4. Turn 3 Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle. This is now a 5/6 Sentinel that is just completely locked down like the ground against aggro decks, so they're going to have to go super negative in trades to like remove it. That's a very, very powerful line. Outside of that, how good is it? I don't know that this is going to make you play Gamorrean Retainer, but it's like a cute idea. Emperor's Royal Guard, though, this is a really nice little bit of curve, because you play an official on turn 1, you play your 3/5 Sentinel in Palpatine decks, which you're always doing, and then you slam a Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle in your Palpatine Blue, and suddenly it's a 3/7 on the ground. That's very, very compelling. I think that's really going to help with those aggro matchups. So I think this is really, really solid for that kind of thing. And this turns Phase 3 Dark Trooper into like a really, really powerful card, because Phase 3 Dark Troopers are 3/3 is kind of sucky. Phase 2 Dark Troopers are 3/5 is nuts, right? Now, provided you can like orchestrate that situation where it lives long enough. But you play Phase 3 Dark Trooper, claim, slam shuttle, not that hard. And suddenly this becomes really, really good. So I think there's some really nice stuff here in green. If we move on to these are slightly jankier combos. I'm not sure these will be particularly good, but I kind of want to just touch on them. Baze, basically seen 0 play. It requires you to have initiative to have Sentinel, so probably terrible. But a grit 2/7 for 4, that's not bad. Chirrut, I think this one is, I'm like, if you actually orchestrate this combo, it's pretty scary, because Chirrut is a 3/5 that becomes 3/7 that you kind of have to deal at least 9 damage to. Like, that can truly just lock out a game, like that could be absolutely disgusting. So this is one I'd be like really considering, and maybe Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle makes it into Force decks purely for that, for like against those ground aggro decks. I'm not convinced, because they have so many powerful 4-drops as it is. You're just fighting for space anyway, but you never know. And then this Chilton, it can make Chilton like a 6/8. It's pretty big, pretty big. I don't know how good that will realistically be. But I can think of it just, briefly on Chirrut, Force Story is still around, so you can think of red-blue going, cool, I'm going to play, like, Talzin could just go, okay, Kylo Ren's Command Shuttle on 4, on 5, I play Chirrut, you swing into it, cool, I burn my Force token to reduce it, I'm now going to Force Story you. That's a pretty good curve, or like, I swing, and like, okay, I got another Force token, then I Force Story you, like, these are good curves, I'm just saying, these are good things. And then finally, of course, we have our most obvious synergies here. I think Pike Sentinel and Kylo Ren, these are both blue-black, so everything's in colour here. Make Pike Sentinel a 2/5, that's really good. And I think in a deck like Kira, for example, now I think part of the issue is, with this being a 4-drop, is all these decks like in green are kind of trying to ramp, so you probably want to be playing some other colour combo where you're not trying to ramp. But, you know, Pike Sentinel as a 2/5 is very compelling, in particular because Kira can shield it twice then, right? Because you play Pike Sentinel on turn 2, you then shield it, play another 2-drop or whatever, and then on turn 3, you go, cool, Kylo Ren, it's now even bigger, and if you don't immediately answer it, I'm going to shield it up again. Or like, you know, shield play a second Pike Sentinel. Oh my god, what a fantastic opening against like aggro that would be. And then, of course, Kylo Ren leader makes it a 5/7. That 2 extra HP is really relevant because basically the only way Kylo gets answered immediately on flip is Rival's Fall or Self-Force Throw Crate Dragon. Those are kind of the only real ways. Now, Self-Force Throw Crate Dragon is kind of hard because Kylo usually flips and goes, your board's gone. But let's say it doesn't go, your board's gone. This now lets you hit that 10 HP breakpoint where you can't get Self-Force Thrown Crate really easily. And that's a big deal. So I think for that reason, it's something I'm going to be looking into. I'm trying to ramp, so I don't know. But, you know, this is just a nice thing to have against space aggro as well. Just a solid body in space. A solid OB target as well. It's going to let you hit 5. It's not bad. So, yeah, overall, I think it's just a very solid value card. And it's pretty good. So, that is it for my card reveals. I got some quick announcements. I'm going to roll now. I am super, super excited to announce that I am a part of Team LXO, which is a brand new team that is launching this month. I believe at the time of you guys seeing this, we will have launched about a week ago. So this is who we are. I'm super, super excited about this. This has been in the works since about the Galactic Championships, so a couple months now, coming up to, or at least a month. It's been a little while. Yeah, we are really excited to get cooking at a lot of these events. I just figured I would quickly walk you through the team and then let you know where we're going to be in September if you are interested in saying hello, basically. And obviously we may play each other, which would be really fun. So obviously there's me, which you know if you are watching this channel. But then there is also Ryan, who you will know from Rebel Resource. And I'm actually going to direct you to a video on Ryan's channel, which is kind of going to go over the whole team and the Patreon and like what we're hoping to achieve and some really cool stuff we're doing. So you should check that out. I will link that in the description. Then, of course, there's Justin, who you'll know from the Bucketheads, which is probably the most highly produced, I mean, certainly the most highly produced Star Wars Unlimited content. I don't think it's close, but, you know, just phenomenally produced stuff. So go check out the Bucketheads if you haven't seen them, and obviously go check out, I mean, you subscribe to both of them, let's be real. But if you're not, go do it, and me. And finally, Ethan, who's the only one of us who doesn't slave away making content, who you might know as Phenom. Very good Star Wars player, turns out. Very, very good Star Wars Unlimited player. So, yeah, go follow him. And this is where we're going to be. This is our tournament schedule for the month of September. So, in terms of Star Wars events, I'm going to be at the PQ in Melton Mowbray on the 14th, and I'm also going to be at the PQ in Cheltenham on the 21st. So, if you are going to either of those, please do come and say hello. Ethan is going to be at the PQ in Wichita. Well, he will have been at the PQ in Wichita at the time of by the time you're seeing this. So hopefully you got a chance to say hello, but you know we'll be at other things. And Ryan is going to be at the PQ in Milwaukee, so please do go and say hi to him if you are interested. But just thought I would drop this in. Super excited. Please do check out that video, and back to our regularly scheduled programming. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do like and subscribe for lots more Star Wars Unlimited content. Thank you again to FFG for giving me the previews. I think they were fantastic. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the cards. And I hope to see you guys in another Star Wars Unlimited video very, very soon. See you then. Cheers.